Hello and welcome back. I'm Joseph Hoffman, and in this lesson we're going to learn how to play the B section of Ballade by Burgmüller. Let's check out the sheet music to get started. Here is page 2 of Ballade, which starts here in measure 23. We'll call this section the B section of the piece. Now, if you look at the last measure of the A section, you'll notice there's this double bar line and then all these naturals which tell you something is happening. You'll notice those three naturals are canceling out the key signature. There's one natural for all three of those flats that we used to have, which tells us that in this next section, there's no sharps or flats. Did you know that you can change key signature in the middle of a piece? It totally is possible. It's a little bit rare, but as we get to more advanced music, we'll be seeing it more and more often. And it will help create a whole new mood here. With zero sharps and flats, you know we're either in the key of what? You tell me. With zero sharps or flats, it will be C major or A minor. Well, how will we figure that out? Let's analyze this first chord that we play. That will always be a good clue. We can look at the first note we play as well. Pause the video, see if you can figure out the name of this chord. Take a look at the first note the right hand plays too and see if you can guess, are we in C major or A minor? Pause the video and then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. If you look carefully at this chord, you'll see we have a middle C on top, then down a fourth to G, down a third to E. What is that? It's a C major first inversion. We can just take that C, put it on the bottom, and then there's our root position C major triad. And that G in the right hand also fits into the C major chord. Any note, C, E, or G in any order makes a C major chord. That's the law of inversions. So that's our best clue that in this section we will be in the key of C major. Now let's check out what's happening rhythmically in this section. Dotted quarter notes equal how many beats if we're in 3/8 time signature? If you said 3 beats, you're correct. So our right hand is playing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Kind of some slow notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. While the left hand is doing what rhythm? It rests on beat 1 and then plays on beat 2, 3. So if we're tapping that with both hands, we'd get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Try that with me. Let's just take these 4 measures and tap this rhythm while we count the beats. So your right hand is tapping always on beat 1, your left hand is tapping on beats 2 and 3. Ready? I'll count 3 beats and then we'll start. Count and tap with me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Great. Now every once in a while we have a measure where the right hand has a different rhythm. How many beats will a quarter note get? Remember, usually a quarter note will get 1 beat if there's a 4 on the bottom of our time signature. But remember, our time signature is 3/8, which means an 1/8 note equals 1 beat, which means a quarter note has to equal 2 beats, because the notes are always in the same relationship. And we've always been able to fit 2/8 notes inside a quarter note. And that's still true now. So this quarter note has to be 2 beats, and this 1/8 note will get the final 3rd beat. Remember, a quarter note can fit 2/8 notes inside of it, which is why it gets 2 beats when we're in 3/8 time signature. So here we'll get 1, right hand plays on beat 1, left hand plays on beat 2, and then they both play together on beat 3. Now, pause the video and see if you can write in the beats 1, 2, 3 in all the measures from measure 31 to 38, which is line 2 of page 2. On your own, write in the counts, try to line up your numbers carefully with each beat, then press play and we'll do it together. Okay, in this measure we get 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Notice we've got more of these quarter note, 1/8 note rhythms. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a whole string of eighth notes in the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's practice just tapping the right hand because the left hand has the same rhythm throughout this section. So, can you count the beat with me? And let's tap the rhythm of the right hand. Okay, remember these dotted quarter notes get 3 beats. Let's tap and count. Ready? 3 beats, and then we start. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then repeat back, and this section begins again. Now, if you'd like to, you can pause the video and write those counts in yourself and get some more practice on your own. Otherwise, let's keep going. And there's a couple more chords I want you to analyze. I'm going to draw a box around 3 different chords. I'd like you to pause the video and analyze the names of these 3 different chords. Remember, they may be in inversion. Pause the video, figure out those chords, then press play to see the answers. All right, what do we have here? In this box, we have a D, F, A. That makes a D minor triad. What do we have in this box? We have F on the bottom, a 3rd up to A, then a 4th up to D. Now, when you see a 4th like this, that's your best clue that we are in inversion. We can take that D, put it on the bottom to discover we are still a D minor triad. We just took that D and put it on top. So once again, D minor. And what about this chord? We've got a G on bottom, up a 4th to C, up a 3rd to E. Once again, we have a 4th, which is our best clue that we have an inversion. Now here's a little trick. When you see a 4th plus a 3rd, if you take the top note of the 4th, that will always be your root. So we can take this G up here and we see, aha, we're in C major. Again, that trick was that when you see the 4th, use the top note of the 4th and that will be your root. So that's C major. Now, as we learn how to play this, please remember that the left hand is playing these chords, which is the accompaniment. It should be much softer than the right hand, which now has the melody. Make those chords as soft as you possibly can. Let's go ahead and come to the piano keys and give it a try. Let's tackle the left hand first today. We're here in measure 23, which is the beginning of our B section. Notice that the music is marked piano and dolce, an Italian word for sweetly. So this should be very gentle, sweet, and tender. So, first of all, find this first chord in measure 23. So with 5, 3, 1, we'll play that chord. And notice on beat 1 we have a rest. So our hands will take turns here. Our right hand plays 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So try 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Count out loud and try. Your turn. Go. Good. Now, in the next measure, notice that if you compare it to this chord that we played, the bottom note steps up, the middle note on G stays the same, and the top note steps up to D. It's always helpful to compare chords from the chord you just came from. So a lot of times, there's a smooth motion, some kind of just a step up or step down, and sometimes a note stays the same, like that. And the fingering that will be best is 1, 3, 4. Because notice your finger 4 is already on that F, and your thumb just has to slide over 1 to get from this first inversion C major to this G7 chord. Okay? Now, pause the video and practice just going back and forth between that C major and this G7 chord. Pause to work on that, then press play to go on. Now, what do you see here in measure 27? What chord? That's right, it's another C major chord. And again, and then what do you see here? That's right, another G7 chord. Then in measure 31, what do you see? Another C major. Good. And then here, tell me the names of these two notes in measure 32. It's an A and a C sharp, played with finger 2 and 1. So you're going to have to slide your hand forward. Whenever your finger 1, I should say, plays a black key, you have to glide your hand in so you can comfortably reach. Don't twist awkwardly like that. Just glide forward for that adjustment. Try that. Then down here, remember we have a D minor chord in measure 33. And then what do we have next? It's a D minor first inversion. Okay, so try D minor here, then D minor first inversion. See, this is why we study inversions, because now you know what's happening. You know why the composer might choose to do that. It's the same chord, but just done in a new way. So let's practice that. Try it with me in measure 33. Rest on beat 1, 1, 2, 3, then come up to D minor first inversion, 1, 2, 3. Good. Then go to the next measure. What do we have? C major second inversion, G, C, E. Try that with fingers 5, 2, 1. Good. And then a chord we've seen earlier. Here's a G7 chord. We'll play with fingers 5, 3, 1. G, B, F. And that resolves to a C and E. Okay, now you try. Your turn. Good, so starting in measure 31, here's where the left hand really gets tricky. We have rest is on beat 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now pause the video and work on measures 31 through, 37, then press play to go on. Now let's take a look at the right hand. Notice we have some opposites going on. The left hand has all these staccato chords, which should be played very quietly and gently. The right hand has the melody with these slower dotted quarter notes. When we are in 3/8 time signature, remember a dotted quarter note gets 3 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, pause the video and on your own, see if you can learn measures 23 through 30. Watch the notes carefully and the fingerings, and then press play and we'll try it together. Now, if you did it correctly, you should have G, 2, 3, C, 2, 3, B, 2, 3, G, 2, 3, back to G, 2, 3, C, 2, 3, B. Then this time we reach all the way up to A, G. 2 beats on the A, 1, 2, 3. Now, if that sounds like what you played, then let's keep going. But if you need to pause, rewind, and work on it some more, that's okay too. If you're ready to go on, let's look at measure 31. We repeat on G, and now notice here the rhythm starts to change a little bit. We have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And by there, we're out of fingers. Because I started on my finger 4 there in measure 31. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have to cross over finger 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then notice we get some staccatos. And those staccatos, how are those notes moving? If you said by half step, you're correct. Notice how it's just stepping down by half step. We also have an interesting marking in the music which says animato. Animato means animated, which in music usually means to play it a little bit more quickly. So the beat will actually get a little bit faster here. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to start at measure 31. See how I sped up just a little bit there? Not a lot, but a little. And also before that we had a poco ritardando, so we're going to slow down a little bit there, but then we speed up there. And it repeats back to measure 23 at that point. Piano with a little crescendo. Slowing down a little bit, then speeding back up. And then it goes into a section which we'll learn later. Now, pause the video and on your own, work on the right-hand section from measure 31, which starts on finger 4, all the way through the animato and the repeat, taking you back to measure 23. Work on that section on your own, then press play to go on. Now, one of the most common mistakes I hear in this section is to play the chords way too loud, like this. And instead of sounding like a beautiful princess, it sounds like a big, ugly ogre stomping through the forest. You want it to sound delicate. So your left-hand chords need to be pianissimo. In fact, sometimes I'll have my students practice the left hand by just tapping the keys. Their fingers are touching the right notes, but they're not actually going down. And what that is doing is training your hand to play so softly that the keys don't even go down. It's just for practice. So with your right hand, try this once. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So play your right hand normal, but your left hand is just touching the keys. You'll notice as I was playing, every once in a while a key accidentally went down. That's okay. You're just trying to play so lightly the keys don't even go down. That might be one way to practice. And then just let the left hand barely play. And that will be about perfect. You want to just get a little hint of those chords. They're not the important part. They're just to make the melody, they're just to decorate the melody a little bit. You just want a little touch. Let it sound like the right hand is singing. Maybe the fair princess is singing a beautiful song and this is like a little guitar that's playing in the background. Another thing that's really important to remember is to keep the right hand legato while the left hand stays very light and staccato. Don't let it do this. Here I've lost my nice staccato sound. We need a really light, delicate staccato in the left hand and a smooth, flowing legato in the right hand. It takes lots of careful attention and listening as you practice to achieve those details. But if you listen closely to yourself and really focus, I know you can put in those details with lots and lots of practice. Careful practice and careful listening. Great work learning how to play the B section of Burgmüller's Ballade. Happy practicing and see you next time. Boom, 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 boom. Ah, don't you love this part? Yes, so dramatic. Boom, boom. And now the B section. Huh? Hey, where did all these bees come from? Ah, don't you get it? This is the B section of Ballade. Ah, of course, I get it. The B section. Ah, hilarious. Ah. Oh, hello.